Let me show you the fastest way to tackle this SAT absolute value question. We're going to start off by combining like terms. We're going to recognize that our term is the absolute value of 1 minus x. So when we come through and add these together, we get 12. Absolute value 1 minus x is equal to 36. I'm going to divide both sides by 12, and I end up with the absolute value of 1 minus x is equal to 3. Now, in order to pull out of that absolute value, we're looking at both the positive and the negative sides of this. But to shortcut this, I'm going to focus in on the fact that this is looking for my negative solution. Since I have a negative x right here, I'm going to keep the positive result of my 3. So we can come over here and say that 1 minus x is equal to 3. We're then going to subtract 1 from both sides. Negative x is equal to positive 2. When we divide by the negative 1, we do get x equal to negative 2. That is my negative solution. I did shortcut that a little bit for you though, but keep in mind that came from directly what the question was asking me. So now let's talk a little bit about why I was able to do this. So we need to recognize that our job is to isolate the absolute value entirely by itself. So I need to do something that's going to get this absolute value of 1 minus x and this other absolute value of 1 minus x all on its own on one side of my equal sign. And the reason why we have to do that is because, again, absolute value, whatever's inside of it, which is this whole part right here, can either have a positive version or it can have a negative version. So we're going to add that 3 and that 9 so that we can come through and divide. If we were to try and divide 36 by 3, we'd get 12, but then we couldn't divide by 9. If we divided by the 9, we'd get 4, but couldn't divide by the 3. We could technically distribute, but that's going to take way too much time. Now, it is very common for students to want to come through and say, oh, I'm looking at the negative version. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up equal to that negative 3. Again, recognizing that right here, we technically have either that positive or that negative. But what happens here, and this is why students miss this question, is they would come through and they would subtract the 1 from both sides. And we can now say negative x is equal to negative 4. But then as soon as we divide by that negative, we get x is equal to 4. And that's no longer giving us the negative solution that the question is looking for. So again, if you had time, you should come back and check and make sure that both of these do work, that you didn't make any careless errors. But above all else, we have to make sure that we're producing that negative sign in the result of what we're looking for. So while this is true, it is not the solution that the test writers are looking for. Thanks so much.